The trailer got me genuinely excited, and that's actually a bit dangerous because the first movie also had a great trailer, and the final result ended up being disappointing. The thing is, even though I really liked what I saw, there are some issues in that trailer that need to be discussed. There are definitely a few negative points here, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I talk a lot about Mortal Kombat here. I cover the game stories, explain the characters, and much more. And now that we have a new movie coming out, I'll also be bringing content related to the films on a regular basis. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Now, to get started, let's talk about Johnny Cage. When we talk about Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat, we're talking about a character who has always been known for his good looks, his flashy personality, and that classic action movie star attitude. He's a famous fighter, full of jokes, and he even wears sunglasses in the middle of a fight just to look cooler. Because of that, when audiences found out that Karl Urban had been cast as Johnny Cage in the movie, a lot of people were surprised and even a bit skeptical. That reaction happened because while Karl Urban is a great actor, he's quite different from what many people imagine when they think of the classic Johnny Cage. He's a bit older, and he doesn't really fit that traditional Hollywood heartthrob image that the character usually has in the games. As a result, many people online said he didn't seem like the right choice. Some argued that Johnny Cage should be younger, more vain, more good-looking, you know? Of course, beauty is very subjective, but since Johnny in the games fits a very specific standard, that's exactly what many fans expected to see in the movie as well. Then the new trailer came out. Karl Urban was shown fighting with intensity, charisma, and even a bit of that playful attitude that Johnny Cage is known for. The action scenes made it clear that he can handle the role. He brings a more mature take on the character, which could actually make the story more interesting. Instead of just being a cocky wannabe movie star, Johnny Cage might gain more depth, coming across as someone with experience, confidence, and still that classic provocative sense of humor. According to leaks that have been circulating online, Johnny Cage is expected to be one of the main protagonists of this new story, alongside Katana. That also made some fans unsure at first, since Johnny was often seen more as a comic relief character rather than a central figure. But if the movie's goal is to tell a different kind of story, shifting the focus and giving new characters more space, this could work really well. Karl Urban has experience with intense roles, like in The Boys, and he might turn Johnny into one of the most relevant versions of the character so far. It's completely normal for people to feel uneasy about changes to characters they've known for a long time. Casting Karl Urban may not have been an obvious choice, but the trailer already shows that he's fully committed to the role. If the movie gives him a strong script, well-crafted scenes, and real moments to shine, we might end up with a solid Johnny Cage after all. In the end, Karl Urban's casting is still dividing opinions. It's too early to know whether he'll fully convince the most demanding fans, or whether this new version of the character will be remembered fondly or criticized. What we do know is that the movie is taking a different path, and that alone is enough to grab attention. Now we just have to wait and see if this change actually works. Baraka. Now, possibly the most controversial name on this list. Baraka has always been a striking figure within the Mortal Kombat franchise. Ever since his first appearance in MK2, his grotesque and intimidating look, exposed teeth, arm blades, and an almost demonic presence has made him one of the most recognizable villains in the series. Because of that, expectations for his cinematic version were very high. Unfortunately, what we saw in the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, released on July 17, 2025, left many fans disappointed. And by many fans, I definitely include myself. Jokes aside, I saw a lot of people criticizing the same thing, how artificial his face looks. The attempt to mix practical effects with CGI resulted in something that feels off, especially around the mouth. During his dialogue in the trailer, the mouth movement looks stiff, almost mechanical, which completely breaks the immersion a character like Baraka is supposed to create. Instead of feeling threatening, he ends up looking closer to a poorly executed caricature. On top of that, the overall design, while clearly well-intentioned, ends up stripping away the character's symbolic strength. Rather than standing out as the fierce leader of the Tarkatans, Baraka just looks like another random member of the tribe, something we saw a lot in Mortal Kombat 11, where there were dozens of generic Tarkatans. This visual choice removes both his visual and narrative impact. He stops being Baraka and becomes just a Tarkatan. I'll admit this, the way his abilities are used looks great. Seeing him attack Johnny Cage with the arm blades was actually very cool. My main issue here is really the design and the CGI. From a technical standpoint, you can tell there was an effort to create a more realistic look that fits the film's universe. But effort doesn't always mean success. When it comes to iconic characters, the details matter a lot. Baraka needed something more, a visual element that demanded respect, something that screamed, "This is the monster who tears enemies apart with his teeth and blades." And unfortunately, that's missing here. For me, the definitive version of the character is still MK11. That design is just excellent. In the end, what remains is a feeling of a missed opportunity. The character many fans were hoping to see shine on the big screen was reduced to a strange-looking face with a rubbery mouth and no real sense of intimidation. Hopefully, in the full movie, Baraka will be treated with more dignity than what we saw in this first glimpse. But honestly, I highly doubt it. I believe Baraka will be underused and serve only as an opponent in this fight against Johnny Cage. Liu Kang abandoned. Liu Kang has always been the main character of Mortal Kombat. Since the very first game, he has been portrayed as the Chosen One, the warrior destined to protect Earth, win the tournament, and stop evil from conquering all realms. He's a disciplined monk, driven and focused, and he has always represented the most noble side of the fight. Because of that, when we see him no longer being treated as the protagonist in the movies, it's only natural that criticism and questions start to arise. In the 2021 film, Liu Kang was present, but his role was much smaller than fans expected. He was there, but as a supporting character. The story was led by a brand new character created specifically for the movie, the heavily promoted Cole Young. Now, in the upcoming sequel, once again, Liu Kang won't be at the center of the story. Plot is expected to revolve around Johnny Cage and Katana, while Liu Kang is pushed into the background yet again. That feels strange because in the mainline games, Liu Kang was never just another fighter. He's the backbone of the narrative. For many people, he is how they first learned what Mortal Kombat even was. Removing him from the center is like tampering with the foundation of the story. It might work, but it's a risk. What it feels like is an attempt to do something new without relying on what already has the most value. Of course, there's no rule saying Liu Kang has to be the protagonist all the time. Even in the games, we've seen other stories where different characters took the lead. We had MK Mythologies with Sub-Zero as the protagonist. We had Raiden in MK9, Li Mei in MK Deadly Alliance, Jax in Special Forces, and in the end, that wasn't a problem. The franchise has always experimented with new ideas, and it's fine for the movies to do the same. The problem is when that change starts to devalue the core of the story. Liu Kang represents the balance between strength and wisdom. He's the character who truly understands what the tournament means. When he becomes a background figure instead of being at the center of key decisions, the film risks losing the very thing that always gave the narrative depth. This isn't about saying that Johnny Cage or Katana don't deserve screen time. They're important characters with rich histories. But turning Liu Kang into a recurring supporting character means giving up a crucial piece of the narrative. It's as if he's there only because he can't be completely ignored, not because he has something essential to contribute. The creators have the right to tell the story however they want. Creative freedom matters, but it also comes with responsibility. When you change something that carries so much meaning for fans, you need to be careful. Reinventing is valid. Erasing is not. Maybe this new direction will work. Maybe the movie will actually manage to do something interesting with different protagonists. But as long as Liu Kang continues to be sidelined, there will be a void that's hard to ignore. Because he isn't just another fighter. He is, and always has been, the heart of Mortal Kombat. The return of Cole Young. Cole Young's presence once again in Mortal Kombat 2 has sparked a lot of discussion among fans. Ever since the first movie, this character has received heavy backlash. He was created exclusively for the films, meaning he doesn't exist in the games, and many people felt he simply wasn't necessary. And honestly, he wasn't. Now, with the confirmation that he'll continue in the story, questions about his role have only grown. In the first film, Cole had a lot of screen time. He was the protagonist and ended up receiving a magical golden armor as his power, which felt very odd. Watching that, it often felt like he was being forced into the narrative, as if the movie was trying to make a brand new character feel important inside a universe that already has dozens of beloved classic fighters. Cole's return in Mortal Kombat Kombat 2 has both pros and cons. On one hand, it could be interesting to see whether the filmmakers develop his story better, explore his connections to other characters, and give him something that actually matters to the plot. And according to rumors and alleged leaks, he might be taken out very early in the movie. On the other hand, there's still a strong feeling that he's taking up space that could be used for much more iconic characters from the franchise. Instead of focusing so much on Cole, many fans would rather see more screen time for Liu Kang, who I already talked about earlier in this video. That said, even though Cole Young is returning, the trailer makes it seem like he won't have any kind of leading role this time, since he barely appears. And let's be honest, it's definitely better to have Johnny Cage as the protagonist than to go through that again. Bald Jade. The thing I've seen the most negative comments about online. In the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, the character Jade finally appears, and it immediately caused controversy. Why? Because she's completely bald. That's right, and a lot of fans of the games and the previous movies really did not like this change. Jade is a very well-known character among Mortal Kombat fans. She has always had a striking visual identity, a green outfit, a glowing staff, and long dark hair. That look made her instantly recognizable even in the middle of chaotic fights and heavy visual effects. Her hair wasn't just for looks, it was part of her personality, her presence, and her overall visual style. In the new trailer, Jade appears in a few scenes, including fighting Katana in a forest and holding her green staff in a very dark, lava-filled environment that seems to be the Netherrealm. Visually, these scenes are cool and mysterious, but her design is so different that if she weren't holding her staff, many people wouldn't even realize it's Jade. She almost looks like a completely different character, and that's a problem, because she loses part of the identity she's always had in the games. Of course, changing a character for a movie can be a good thing, especially if it adds depth or helps tell a new story. But in this case, so far, nothing has explained why Jade is bald. We don't know if it's part of the film's story, if she went through some kind of transformation, or if it was simply a visual choice by the production. And when a major change like that happens with no explanation, fans are naturally going to question it. It's not that she looks bad in the role. The slows she appears in actually do capture the essence of the character, and that's what truly matters. The real question is, why change something so drastically when it already worked and fans liked it? It feels like the idea was to make the character look more modern or different, but in the process, they removed elements that made Jade unique. And there's more. Hair has always been an important part of Mortal Kombat character design. Each fighter has a distinct style that helps define their identity. Katana, for example, is usually shown with a tiara and a more elegant look. Mylena often has shorter, looser hair. Sindel is famous for her long black and white hair, which is even part of her moveset in the games. And Jade, despite having some variations over the years, has always been remembered for her long hair. In Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, for example, she wore a classic bun, a look that stuck in many fans' memories, and for me is her definitive design. In Mortal Kombat 11, she wears a hood, but once she removes it, her long hair is still there. So even when the style changes, the hair has always remained one of her trademarks. Shaving her head completely, with no reference or explanation, feels like a purposeless change. And honestly, the actress playing her, Tati Gabrielle, actually has Jade's physical traits. The sharp eyes, the darker skin tone, they could have delivered a very faithful look. I even generated an AI image adding Jade's classic details, and I thought it looked amazing. It's also worth remembering that Jade already had a live-action adaptation years ago in Mortal Kombat Annihilation 1998, where she was played by Irina Ponteva. Back then, even though she had different hairstyles at times, she appeared with her classic bun and green outfit. I'll admit it looked good, though it was missing her ninja mask. At the end of the day, what we really hope for now is that the movie itself is good, and that Jade remains as strong, agile, and charismatic as she's always been. The look matters, sure, but what truly matters is Jade's essence, and fans are hoping that essence is still there, even with a shaved head. Maybe once we see more scenes in the movie, the idea will make more sense, right? But for now, a lot of people are left with the feeling that something is missing from this cinematic version of Jade. All that's left is to wait and see whether this choice will pay off, or if it was just a strange decision after all. Bad CGI? A lot of people started complaining about the CGI and the environments shown in the Mortal Kombat 2 trailer. Some said certain scenes look fake or poorly done. that the locations don't feel real, and that the visual effects are underwhelming. And yes, those criticisms are understandable. There are one or two moments where the CGI really stands out in a negative way. In some scenes, the lighting or the textures don't look quite right, but in my opinion, the backlash has been exaggerated. Overall, the film's environments actually look pretty good. Many classic locations from the games were recreated with a lot of care, and the visuals are appealing. Ancient temples, fight arenas, magical caves. Each setting has its own identity, and they fit very well within the Mortal Kombat universe. And that matters because this franchise has always leaned heavily into fantasy, with otherworldly locations, strange creatures, and a mystical vibe. Some people complain that the environments look weird, but Mortal Kombat doesn't take place in a realistic world like ours. The story involves magical realms and superpowered characters, so sometimes what looks strange is actually intentional. It's meant to feel unusual because that's part of the world building. Another thing to keep in mind, this is just a trailer. A lot can still be refined before the movie's release. It's normal for some visual effects not to be 100% finished at this stage. Although, to be fair, this movie has been finished for a while now, so I'm not totally confident things will improve, lol. Even so, most of what we've seen already looks very solid. So yes, the CGI definitely has its ups and downs, but I don't agree with the people saying everything looks bad. For those who know the games, it's clear that the movie is respecting the franchise's visual style, and that's a very positive sign. And that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching.